Welcome to Culture of Paint. On this episode, we're going to be taking a look at what's caught our eye over the last couple of weeks in the miniatures painting world. For our main segment, we're going to be chatting to Rich about how Kill Team's completely reinvigorated his hobby and all the stuff he's managed to get done and the stuff he's planning. And then we'll close out the show, as usual, taking a look at what the hashtag paint cultists have been up to and whatever the chat's saying. Culture of Paint's aimed at a mature audience, and we might use explicit language and discuss adult themes. Now let's talk about paint. Good evening, everyone. The chat's there. Evening, afternoon, good morning, wherever you all are. That's pretty rad already that we've got you from all over the time zones. Hi, everyone. I'm Henry. As usual, joining me are Andy, Matt, and Rich. How are you, chaps?
Good.
All good, man.
Wish I was painting.
All right. Has it been a good painting couple of days? I feel like I'm getting back in the groove now after the life events.
Yes.
Getting the cramp back.
I just need to do something new because those two vampire hunters are killing me, and I just want to look at anything else.
not far to go now. What's the update on the countdown, Matt? Where are we?
22 days, isn't it?
21 days, 15 hours.
21.
21 days. That's of course till the Matt and Andy head out to Golden Demon US over in Adepticon.
Not guaranteed I'll go at this rate.
Have a chat. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
They're looking good though.
Yeah, you'll be going. Just don't know whether you'll be taking anything with you or not.
Yeah. No, not even a bag.
We've got chat. We've got Paris, Denmark. We must have Australia if someone's saying good morning. Edinburgh. Come do some lessons in Edinburgh. We'll be coming up to Scotland soon. Not Edinburgh. Not miles from Edinburgh, actually. Keep an eye on the socials for that one. But we got a Scottish fixer sorting some classes out for that. Some usual names and some new ones. So welcome everyone. Right, let's crack on with what we've seen the last few weeks. Get into the waffling in a bit.
So first up is.
Oh, nice. That's rad.
Yeah. So I've really been getting into my artwork lately. Not necessarily just like the hobby artwork. Like those time lapses of like watercolor paintings that are all over Instagram at the moment. I don't know, but right. I clicked on one, followed it, and then that changed my algorithm, obviously. So now I get fucking shitloads of them. But they're great.
Algorithm, mate.
Well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I looked at this. Massive Marines, over the top, big proportioned Marines. I'm just in love with at the moment. I'm back on the Marine hype as per. And yeah, this guy's work's brilliant. It's a bit different to the other artwork that I've looked at before. Very kind of comic book style, and like I said, over the top. But I don't know why. I just love it. There's some really interesting niche chapters as well. So like some of the chapters he does like the odd Imperial Fist and things like that. But there's some great, slightly lesser known chapters that he does as well. So I thought it was just great, and I love the shoulder mounted last cannon. Does
this account just do? Pick like it's like fan art of Space Marines.
Yeah, it's other stuff as well, not just Space Marines and not just like Warhammer artwork, but lots of Space Marines, like lots of Chaos Space Marines and weird and wonderful like Mechanicum based like bits and pieces, and it's just very different, and I just love the aesthetic of it.
That's awesome.
I like how he's grey and orange, and the background's grey and orange, but it's still like contrast. It's cool.
I love that paint scheme as well. Like that'd be a badass Marine chapter.
Hey, you should start a new army.
Kill team. Start a new kill team.
I mean, exactly.
I like the helmet. Like it would be a very cool Iron Warriors or like a Death Guard, like Heresy Death Guard helmet, right? It's got them World War I, World War II vibes, but still a Marine. And yeah, shoulder mounted last cannon. It's perfection. Perfection.
So yeah, that's me.
That's a great pick, mate. I keep wanting to pick artwork, but I'm only just starting to get in the habit of screenshotting things that I see that I want for picks, and then
I was actually ahead this time. Like normally I'm like scrolling through, like fucking hell, what is it? What can I send? What can I send? But the last 2 weeks, I've actually had stuff queued, ready.
There you go, Matt. It only took a year and a half.
I was the only one lagging this week.
There we go.
Matt, get your shit together.
Come on, mate. Put the spreadsheets down and screenshots of them.
Get on with it, Matt. Come on.
Makes a change from a Tuesday lunchtime. No, that's awesome. That's a great pick, man. Yeah, we should definitely. Fuck it. Maybe we'll start definitely picking some artwork each show. In addition, I think that might be kind of cool. just to make sure we keep it up there, because there's so, it's a bit like, you know, all the digital sculpting we see now. Like there's a lot more artwork, right, because of that digital art. And it's a shame not to show. And I mean, I'll be honest, I've been one of these Warhammer Plus people that are exactly what they wanted, right? I subscribed, and I don't think I've looked at it for about 3 months, right? I'll do a binge one day of the cartoons on there. That's the only reason I bought it, was to watch the animations, but I just haven't got around to it. But this is, I think that's what excites me about it, right? Is seeing all these different takes on the Warhammer Wars. They did was it for Star Wars they did relatively recently, where they got a load of Japanese artists to take
they did
Star Wars things. Yeah,
it was awesome. It was anime Star Wars. It was fucking sick.
I just think it's a really cool idea to sort of bring in as much as I adore the grimdark Warhammer artwork. Like, I think it's great to see it in some different sort of styles.
It's like the Love, Death and Robots. You've seen that on Netflix? It's like an anthology of just completely different animated styles. That sort of thing is really cool, because it's nice to see everyone's different take on what the universe looks like.
Yako's asked in the chat, is that Matt Parks? Now, I don't know whether you mean is the artist Matt Parks, is Matt on screen Matt Parks, or is Rich? I guess Rich, maybe, if I squint loads, could maybe pass for. I don't know.
Elaborate.
But yeah, elaborate
the question.
We'll answer your question. That's a great pick, mate. What's up next, man?
Nice.
Yeah. One of my favourite accounts has been for a long time. And I was sort of chatting to Rich about Planet 28 and Kill Team and Skirmish and all this sort of thing. And this is stuff I like to look at, how I like to paint. Yeah. It's just rad, right? And I think it's again for gaming and campaigns and all the rest of it. But just carving out your own little aesthetic niche within Warhammer. I think it's quite fun, and this goes quite far from the established silhouettes and stuff we're used to, right?
It's got a very Dune vibe. I was watching that again today, and like there's like little drones when the battle scenes, kind of looks like one of those.
Right. It's nice, man. It's just, I just love like the rust, particularly on its little Jeremy Beadle arm. Like it's
I was looking at that. It's nice.
It's really nice. I think
really cool.
I think I need to paint something like this very, very soon.
I love that faded blue.
Yeah, man. So, all right. So here's one. Help me out with this today. I was trying to understand what colours are called. What colour is that?
Turquoise.
Like, and I understand blue and green are all whatever it is, shades of blue. But like, is it turquoise? Is it teal? Is that what teal is? No.
Same thing. It's a mint, isn't it? It's a green.
Yeah,
it's like a green, and it's quite pale blue.
Peppermint.
So if you lick that,
it's actually a paint
spearmint.
blue.
It's definitely spearmint if you lick
Vallejo
that.
pale blue green.
Right. Okay. Well, there we go.
Faded aqua.
So, genuine question. I was looking up. I was looking at Eldar schemes, and like one of them was like, it's teal and blue, I think it was, or teal and green. I was like, I need to find out exactly what teal is.
It's quite like Tiffany blue, actually, the signature blue.
I won't comment on the colour.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, Matt.
Probably not, mate.
It's a colour to you, right?
Sorry, Matt.
It's something.
Does it look like red to you?
Honestly, I
didn't
even notice the blue until you told me.
Can you tell it's blue?
Yeah, a little bit.
Enhanced.
That's wild.
Someone's just saying in the chat, like round Imperial vehicles. That's it, right? It's when you see something that's not super angular. When they brought out a load of that Mechanicus stuff, the hovercraft and the definitely not Dune Ornithopter plane. It just totally changes it, doesn't it? When they start putting curves and things.
It's because
in it.
Aerodynamics are heresy.
Exactly. It's got to run on whatever it is.
I've never liked them Space Marine planes. They're just not the one, are they? Storm Eagle, flying bot.
I think the thing with them is though, right, is though the one shot of it coming in like that, right? So sort of nose up, thing coming down, you can sort of picture it quite doing that. It's very ominous, isn't it? It's very sort of like brutal, the idea of it doing that. But you see it from any other angle doing any other thing, and it's a bit like, this doesn't make. This literally doesn't make any sense, does it?
That's why they play.
But it can't all be lovely Eldar ships, can it?
Someone said in the chat, it looks like a submarine. It does look like a submarine.
Yeah. Monk in the chat who does our little
Stingray
logo there. He's the old school roll-on deodorant vibes. Do you remember the old land speeder and stuff?
No, in Pax Acrylica, that could actually be what it was made out of.
Yeah. But yeah, great account. As usual, all the accounts we feature will be in the description after the show. So yeah, faith in the Emperor is better than aerodynamics. There we go.
Nice. Great comment.
So what's up next, man?
So this is my one.
Sick.
I was rushing for a pick, but then I remembered I saw this a while back. So he's done a couple of these, I think 2, and it's an imagination of the hollow suit, like the flip suit. How in the lore of like Harlequins, they kind of like when they move, you'll get like a trail behind them, and
like
they
Predator.
and they like reflect the light and stuff. So he's kind of tried to take that imagery and actually make it into a miniature, which I thought was a pretty cool theme.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's one of the coolest things I've seen for long time.
Very original,
right? And you do occasionally see
it away.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah.
What was a year or 2 ago we saw that Tau, didn't we, where they'd used like a clear
the force
plastic
field
to
thing.
create like the force field. That was a real it's kind of got that vibe, right? That sort of how do you model effects? I guess you'd still call it an effect, right? But that's brilliantly done. It's not a gimmick though, is it? Right? Because everyone does it if it's a gimmick.
No,
it will be.
I don't know, man, because that looks difficult.
Gimmick doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a gimmick.
That doesn't look like a sort of lazily replicated thing, right?
I'm not quite sure how they've done it. It's like they've had to obviously cast.
Yeah, it's like press molded.
Press molded or something. Like it's weird because of these the neuro pistols he hasn't, but that's just a whole load of money in
he's
3
got the
pistols.
diamonds on some, hasn't he? So he's like changed. He's changed the face a little bit on each.
Yeah. Proper cool.
And then it's got less of it. So the middle one's got the leg, and then the top one doesn't. So there's less of the model each time.
But there's also this, and then there's a 4th pistol at the top, right?
4th?
No, I think
plastic pistols.
3.
No,
it's the diamonds.
No. Follow the.
Oh no, there is.
Up,
there is 4.
And above it, there's sort of like one phasing in, isn't there? That's brilliantly done, man. Whatever. Yeah, that's a wiki. I don't follow that account.
Just above the 3rd one on the right, there's another little casting of a neuro pistol.
That's rad.
I can see 3.
Good find, Matt.
I think that was actually Barry. He had it in his stories a while back.
Nice one, Baz. And thanks for the great reaction we got to Baz. Like it's it was a really fun episode to record, and I think he'll be on Patreon this month. So we're in March now, aren't we? Yeah. So welcome to the team, Baz. We'll have him back on soon. Don't worry.
Pancake.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Cool.
I'm gonna have some pancakes.
Have pancakes on Sunday.
Up next is.
Sorry, just reading the chat. What we got up next? Oh, nice. Who's this? Andy?
It is a robot rocket miniature. I think it's a Lucas Pina sculpt, and it's Joshua Lai. Lucas Pina, Joshua Lai. Can you get any better? Some more.
Nice, eh?
Can you get much better? No, it's brilliant. Obviously, love his bases always, and it's just another great one and amazing color scheme. Actually, today he posted a capybara in the water, which
I saw that.
Is so cool
with the butterfly in his nose.
Yeah, So
I've seen that before. Where have I seen that before?
He's done. No, I think that's a hippo. He did a capybara today.
With a butterfly on its nose. That's definitely ringing a bell.
Yeah, I think that was a hippo he did, and then he's done a capybara today. I don't know.
Anyway,
there's too many.
Great.
It's another awesome,
amazing account. Definitely worth. And we're gonna try and work something out with him as well for see if we can get something recorded, because I think a lot of people would be really interested in hearing about how he goes about stuff.
But it is a butterfly on the nose of the capybara.
It's awesome. We'll stick a link up. Well, you've got the link to his account anyway, so you can see it.
Always love his stonework in his water.
Don't
paint them grey, kids.
You had quite a lot of fun with that, didn't you, on the Woodsman model? Bit like rolling your little rocks and painting them.
Well, I tell you, the spoiler is I didn't paint them. That's the best ones. Turned out the best.
Just left them as pebbles.
Well, that's what I said in the video, because if you put like a non-painted thing next to a painted thing, it looks weird. But in the water, it's obscured, right? So you don't have to do it. But I painted some milliput rocks and I put in real rocks, and you couldn't really tell by the end. That was really fun. But yeah, I sort of blended them both together. But I mixed in real rocks with the ones I painted, and it worked really well. But yeah, I think if you put say you've got a real rock stuck on a base and next to a model and it's not painted rock, that looks weird.
Yeah.
Because it's cast in the resin, everything's obviously glossy. You can't tell that difference in texture, and I don't know. I thought it worked, but yeah, that's me being lazy.
Duppy in the chat said that model looks like me.
Oh, it really does. Shit, sorry.
Yeah, couple more years, mate. Couple
more years. Don't know about that. It's me now, mate. It's me as an ent.
Needs Geb's mind.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's get Jamie to Photoshop some Gebs on it, and then that'll be banging.
And a baseball cap.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's the next job.
Oh, wicked. Is that it for picks, Matt? Did anyone get greedy?
No, that's it.
Oh, how very
well behaved.
Self-controlled of us all this week. Meme of the week. Is there a meme of the week? Yes, there is. There is. I've seen it this time. Get her up. What a beauty.
It's profound.
This happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
I'm at work and I'm like, man, I just wish I was at home painting. Then you get home and you're like, ah! It's just like a lot of things have got to come together for me to have a good painting session.
The stars are going to be aligned.
Got to not be hungry, not be tired, have a decent amount of time. It's very rare.
This is the perfect example. Like, I'm at work. I'm thinking about painting all day. Come home, get the baby to bed, do dinner, finally get in the studio, and the first thing I do goes wrong.
Yeah.
The first thing I do, I'll pick up the airbrush, and it's dried in solid, and the trigger won't move. And I'm or open a paint pot and spill it on the table.
I think I feel like the picture on the right on just about every model I paint up until about I'm 95% done on it.
Nah, the beginning.
And then it's either complete meltdown or, that's all right.
I'm the other way around. Like when I'm start painting something, I'm like, this is sick as fuck. This is the best thing I've ever painted. And then I get towards the end and I'm like, oh, man.
No, you finish one mini and then it's the second one and then you go, oh, man.
Yeah, that's true.
We tried to
then pick something else.
No, batching's the worst.
What's batching?
I know. Well, we'll talk about all of these.
Henry's going to be doing a lot of batching soon.
Doing a hell of a lot of batching soon, yeah. I've missed that.
He loves big batches.
Sure, in the Midlands in Coventry, that's the name of a roll, like a bread roll.
A batch.
A batch, yeah, like a ham batch. It's like
that's even worse than a bomb.
Cup or a tea cake.
It's true.
It's retarded.
James is saying if you replace painting with parenting, then that is his life right now.
Isn't parenting just the right the whole time?
It's just right the whole time. Yeah. Can confirm.
Until the 18th birthday.
And Monk's like, he uses his tears to thin his paint. That's good.
Yeah.
Sumpworks saying, I'd love the capybara. I'm not the only critter fiend, Sumpworks. Andy loves his little sort of... I like little critters. Andy likes larger scale little critters.
You would use a derogatory term followed by animal. is what I like.
It's these little animal dolls, but they're great. Get down early learning centre and
find it. When I find that deer, I'm doing it.
Bjorn's asking, what makes a good painting session for you guys? I mean, that's a very
finish a perfect model in an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I think I stopped enjoying this hobby years ago, Bjorn. I'm too far in now to quit. So
I think achieve anything that looks cool, even if it's a little bit, right? And then you get a buzz to do the next part of that model. So, like, if you paint like a strap, a gun, just one part that's good, you go, and then you do the next. Because I've been doing those little vamps, and they're so tiny, and there's so many details. But if I do one bit of it real nice, I'm like, sweet. I did their big cloaks on Sunday, which was like the biggest element, I guess. And I finished that, and I was like, sweet. So just achieve something.
I enjoy it when I'll paint something and I'll realise I can miss a step out, and I don't mean it lazily or anything like that, but like when I'm like, do you know what? That looks just as good as what I used to do for that, and I've used like one less paint or whatever, and it might be just because I've blended it better or I've done whatever. But I think for me,
like I had a really good session on Sunday or Saturday. Andy, was I at yours?
Saturday
was good because I went to paint Andy's. I took a specific thing with a goal in mind to get to a specific point and did. And it was nice just to sit. I took like 6 paints with me, just sat down. And I was like, right, I need to do the metal details, browns, whatever. That was really good just to get through all that, and then it come together so that then on Sunday I did a bit and got a squad of something finished. So I was like, you know what, that was really good.
It's nice. It's nice when you don't have to fight anything and it just kind of happens.
Just happened, yeah.
So I was building a chaplain because I don't like the 2 Primaris chaplains that are out, and I got the chaplain off the bike. The legs from just a standard Primaris Marine, you can put the shins on. It just fits.
Nice.
Nice.
Then I took off.
That's well satisfying.
The body just fit onto the torso, the hips part, and it just went together so smoothly. And I was just like, oh, thank God.
All right, that was like me when I did that vampire. I was like, right, I'm going to give him a different sword, and I'm going to put a heart in the hand. And I forgot that there was a conversion because it just worked so well. Cut the hand off, glued it on. I was like, yes, come on.
Yeah, that is a nice one. We've said before though in the past, like sometimes you'll do a conversion and you'll think you're just the tits, and you think, oh my God, why didn't the sculptors do it like this originally? I'm a genius. And then you look at the box art and you realise that you've basically rebuilt the model exactly as they originally sculpted it. Just maybe with slightly.
I think I've only ever done that once. Like I've only ever done that once, and it wasn't even a sculpt. It was a kit bash where I've done a kit bash. I had an idea in my head, did a kit bash, and was like, holy fucking shit, that looks exactly like I wanted to do. And it wasn't difficult. It was literally swapping a few bits around, and I was like, I am a kit bashing god.
Yeah.
I think when I did that Septimus, when I just moved the arm, that was a really satisfying one. Just dropping his arm down made such a difference. It was just like green stuff, and I'm like, this totally changes my feelings on this mini now. So
Casper just asked in the chat a recommendation for a starter airbrush. Casper, if you go check out the getting started with airbrushing playlist I've got up in the YouTube, wherever it is, playlists. And then if you've got any questions after that, just ping us a message on one of the socials, and I'll have a chat with you if you want about what to get, what we recommend. But yeah, that's it's a good meme. It's a good pick. It's a bit hard, that one, a bit close to home. But this is the year the joy returns to painting. Possibly even next week, if everything aligns correctly. I'm well nervous. I've got a project coming up, and I was chatting to Andy today about what paints to get for it. And yeah, it's going to be a scary moment. But if those paints work on the test model, it's going to be joyous. I'm going to be really excited about it. I'm going to be really happy. If they don't work, I'll be quite upset.
You got it on lock.
So yeah, we'll see.
What are you drinking?
Okay,
this is
Northern Monk's, one of my favourite craft brews in the UK.
Beer, not raspberry hot.
Up north. No. So this is one of their faith in things. This is rhubarb and custard pale ale.
That's like that shit can get in the sea. Like honestly,
you're wrong.
Northern Monk is a great brewery. And I really like their beer, but like fucking sweet flavored pale ales and shit.
Delicious. You got to try it. I used to feel exactly the same way, but I used to feel
probably the only beer I like.
Identical to that. This thing's delicious. And I think it supports like local kids or something. I don't know. There's something like that as well. So whatever. But then I love rhubarb. I love custard. And I love beer. So
terrible.
Bjorn's asking what lamps do we prefer? Painting lamps. I like task lamps. I've got a few different brands. Bought one the other week actually. Daylight Company's what we've used for ages, but I bought one. Native Lighting is the brand. It's just another task lamp. It's exactly the same. Those are my faves. What about you, Andy?
Yeah, that's my old one. The task lamp XL. I like the Lumi and then the Luminos if you got big bucks.
So yeah, I think if you're able to have, if you've got the space for them, these bigger task lamp type ones.
I use 3 of these now, and it's the best.
Yeah. I use 2 at all times now as well. Always.
I really need to up my lamp game. I'm using just some nondescript Chinese.
Oh Christ Almighty!
But that works. For some people use those little, like angle poise ones with a beak on them.
If you don't buy one tank, you can get a light or one box game that you're never going to paint. Just get a light.
I was definitely a fan. I had a really little, the ones with the little like lens, like the magnifying glass in the middle, and I used it for years, thinking that it didn't make much difference because there was always like when I started, I was always a bit cheaper in the hobby. So my first airbrush cost me like 10 quid and all that, and I never thought that it was really worth it. But of all the things that you could invest in a good light. For fuck's sake, your eyes will thank you for it in 10 years' time. Believe me.
Definitely. Sorry, I'm just replying to Bjorn in the chat.
Yeah, I think I got like 3 lights for filming to like improve the light for that, but my painting's got loads better, and my lighting's so extreme now. I'm like, oh, this looks like absolute crap. But then I realise it's because my lighting is just mental, and then when I sort of look at it under normal light, I'm like, oh, it looks nice. So it's kind of hard because you're always miserable about your painting.
But it's quite nice though, right? Like. Exactly what you said. Like you hate it, and then you pop it down there. Particularly if it's for a gaming project, because suddenly you put it there in the normal light, and you're like, "Oh, it looks pretty cool, actually."
Well, I think it's up to my standard because I've been painting for the Golden Demon. I've been, it's not quite neat and tidy enough, and I've been correcting, and then I look at it like in a normal light, and I'm like, that's quite good.
Yeah, nice. We have this chat a lot, don't we, about that? And then obviously being able to zoom in on photos and social media and all that, it can be, you can almost lose sight of the fact of what it is you're painting and how it's meant to be viewed, right?
God, yes, killing me.
Zooming in is the worst bit because you're taking something that is quite small and just making it way too big.
Mr. Rivster in the chat saying it's not the lamp, it's what you put in it. 4,000K to 5,600K to get daylight equivalent. Everything's much easier like that. I would counter that, dude, with I have spent more than at least another good task lamp on trying different cheaper options. Like I've tried the 2 angle poises with the correct bulbs in. I tried a big soft LED matte type one suspended, and like none of them for me, none of them were as good as if I just had a little shop around, Amazon, wherever, and found one of the task lamps that they're always on offer. And you if you spend more than sort of 80 quid on one, you're a muppet. It's like buying a sofa for full price from DFS or whatever.
Yeah, they're like 80 quid.
Right? Yeah, if you look around, you can always get them for that. And for me, the more and more now, I think as we're all getting other responsibilities, paying for a little bit of convenience and stuff is worth it to me now. But I tried all. I did try all the different options because you see different painters using them, and I think it's that thing is always be wary of when someone tells you have to get this. This is the best thing. Always make them explain why they think it's the best thing, because it might just might not work for you.
It's a spread.
That doesn't mean it's right or wrong.
Having a long bar on the good arm makes the difference.
Lots of room for stickers too.
I'm demonstrating well there,
which is always nice. Right, we've sort of gone off a bit on a chat there. Let's bring it back. Speaking of butterflying, to the main topic. So, Rich, we tease you quite a lot about
quite a lot.
Well, I mean, I think like most of us, you suffer from not necessarily new shiny, but getting distracted quite quickly when you're not very far into a project, right? And therefore, you never get quite far enough into a project for them ever to even become a small thing, right? They just become discarded and whatever.
Yeah.
But recently, since the sort of end of last year, you've been a man possessed.
Man on a mission.
Yeah, on a mission, and that mission is Kill Team.
Yes.
So I guess, what happened? How have you gone from that to being probably the most consistent output of the four of us for the last month or two?
So, yeah, you're right. Historically, I was always bad at completing projects, mostly just from being unrealistic about how I get on with long-term projects and lying to myself, be like, oh, this one will be different, this one will be different, this one will be different.
It just wasn't the right models, or it wasn't the right theme.
Yeah. But this project, but this army, but these models I buy, it's going to be different. And so I was just lying to myself for a very long time that I was able. I think it was more I was annoyed that I wasn't actually capable of sticking to a project like that. It was more of a just lying to myself, thinking, yeah, I can do that when I absolutely couldn't. And so it's a mix of that. That's part of it. But then the other part of it is the idea of skirmish games is always something I've been a real big fan of. Not necessarily from any historical, playing them when I was a kid or anything like that. More from an aesthetics point of view and comic books and descriptions, that kind of thing, was something that I was really interested in. And it was something that I was interested in beforehand when the old iteration of Kill Team was around. And I tried it, but it wasn't quite as good as I thought it was going to be, the old version of Kill Team. I tried a few games and it just didn't really sit. It wasn't as exciting as I wanted it to be. Mm. And then we got into Underworld. So about a year or so ago. No, more than that.
Yeah, actually. More than that.
Two. Yeah. It was Jesus. It was 3 years ago. Fucking hell. But yeah, I wanted to play. And I'd always, in all honesty, I'm dyslexic. So I'd really struggled when we played big games of more complex gaming systems. So for instance, Heresy I love, but I struggle a lot with the rules. Remembering how the number system worked when you're rolling to pen, all those different things I really struggled with. So when we played Underworld, I was adamant that I was going to get into a gaming system that was simple and I didn't need a lot to do. So I needed an Underworld warband and a set of cards. And we played that for a couple of years and it was great. But then I got a little bit bored of that in that I wanted a little bit more. And I'd shopped around a little bit. I'd seen there's a great company called a great gaming system called Planet 28, which is a generic rule set, which is super simple. It's 15 pages in a micro booklet that you can use any models for, and every stat is in there for it. It's a very simple system. So I got that and flicked through it, and I thought that was interesting. But it was only when Games Workshop said that they were releasing Kill Team again, and it was redoing it from scratch, that I really kind of thought, you know what, I would love to give this a go. I'd love to get into a gaming system because I love the idea of gaming with my models that I've painted, but I think it was just a lot more accessible to start with.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's how it started.
It's nice. So what was the last, because I mean, you've had armies in the past, I've known you, I don't know, 8 years, something like that. Now you've had armies and stuff. What was the last project, as it were, that you actually managed to stick a pin in before you got back? Because it does feel, and I'm in a very similar position to you, but it does feel like it's been a significant amount of time since you found something, stuck to it, and finished it.
Iron Hands, surely.
Yeah, that Migs got off. Yeah. And that never even that was just a collection, right?
Yeah, it was a collection. I've never finished an army in my life.
Right.
I've never once gone, this is my list of models that are going to be in this army. I have now painted everything. It is now done. A lot of the time was I would get to a point, I'd say like I'd have 1,500 points painted of things in the past, but then I'd have another 200, 300, 400, 500 points of in progress stuff that I was like, oh, I'll add to it at some point in the future, etc. But never did. I've never once in my entire life gone, right, say this is a 1,500 point list. I'm going to paint this list and it'll be done. Never, ever have I ever done that. Which really pissed me off because it's a ridiculous thing that to not have achieved that. And I've painted how many armies or tried to paint?
I don't know, man. I don't think it's that ridiculous. I think it's pretty common, man, and for a whole variety of reasons. But yeah, as you're proving now, you're absolutely smashing through. I mean, it's not going to be long now till you've done a similar volume of miniatures to an army.
Yeah, they're all different colours.
You know, they're just all different. Yeah, different.
They're all the same race. They're just different colours. It's like
there's a couple of non-marines in there. We will get to them.
Yeah, like a couple, but not many.
It's the big one that breaks my heart the most. I've got that lovely army. It's all done.
We're fine. Don't worry. It'll happen. So whilst we're on that, we've got a couple of these lovely Thousand Suns up on the screen at the minute. Now these are a kill. I think basically when we go through your kill teams, I'm probably just going to ask you, why you decided to do them and what, if anything, you got out of doing that particular kill team. Because you never know, little nuggets pop up, right? So these guys, I think quite rightly have been very popular. I think they're some of your coolest stuff you've done for a while.
I think best.
So
what's the skinny with these guys? What's why and what's gone well?
So this wasn't the first kill team that I tried of the new. I played a few games of the new version of kill team, and I was flicking through the compendium. Love about the new kill teams, the compendium book has every kill team you can take almost, so you can flick through and see what they can take. And I've always wanted to paint some Thousand Suns, some 40k Thousand Suns, but I could never really find the right models for them. And I just started reading. I started to reread the Araman books, the
nice,
Sorcerer
the
trilogy.
Ones. Oh, yeah, nice, fantastic.
Love those books. He's one of my favorite characters in the 40k lore. And it just got. It was the Black Templars release because that's the Emperor's Champion. And I was like, oh, Primaris Marines with tabards. Now we're talking. They're the right size. For me, I like the slightly bigger Marine. And I was like, oh, that would look quite cool with the Thousand Suns bits on there. You could probably make quite a good one. And I was saying earlier in the convo about how I did a kit bash and the idea popped into my head and it just worked perfectly. And I was ecstatic about that. That was the conversion.
Nice.
Emperor's Champion into the Thousand Sun Sorcerer. But yeah, and I thought these are something I would love to do. You need 5. So you literally need 4.
Oh, wow.
Four Rubric Marines and a Sorcerer, and that's it. That's the whole kill team. And I was like, I painting blue is one of my favorite things to do. I love painting like a turquoise.
So I was going to ask, this is very close to a scheme I got a few years ago for a Night Lord, right?
Yeah, very.
It's very similar, right? It's nice to see that tweaked and it's very grimdark. Good vibe to it.
If I'm painting blue, there's going to be Andy will probably be able to name at least 2 or 3 of the colours that are going to be because I always steal his versions of Sotek. Sotek's always in there.
Yeah.
I've never used the paint. It's never here
because I always steal it.
I don't even know what Sotek is like.
But yeah, it's a scheme I've done a lot, and it was something I had an idea to paint one, painted one. But I spent a lot more time on it than I planned. I actually thought I'd paint it a bit differently, and I really enjoyed the process and how it looked at the end. I was like, wow, that looks really cool. So then I thought, but it was because I did that, and then looked in the compendium. I was like, fuck, you need 5.
Yeah,
that's doable. So then I cracked on and thought, go on, then I'll. Or is it exactly? I thought, I'll do a few and see how we get on.
No, that's fantastic. So, what would you say if there's one take home from these? What would you say it was?
Right. For me, this was. Because there was only 5, this might sound really simple, but I did one and I put a lot more time into it than I thought. And after the end, I was like, fuck, maybe that's too much. Maybe that's a lot more effort than I want to do. But then I did that one I did the one on the right first, and then I did the Sorcerer second, and I did that. And then I was like, well, I'm over a third of the way through, nearly halfway through. This was more of an exercise, and I want to throw a bit of time at a kill team rather than I'll paint a kill team in a day, which is a good way of doing it. I've done that before as well. But this was it's quite a good way to practice and to throw a bit of effort at something and still get something out of it that you can use to like play with, that kind of thing.
Excellent. What's the deal with the bases? Like the fact that there's like they're desert, but then they also look like they might be
marble.
Wanted
something completely unique. I'd never actually done marble bases before, so I thought, oh, what a great opportunity to try them.
I guess you've probably got a lot of baby wipes laying around as well, right?
Oh yeah,
it's
exactly.
Yeah, son. That's what the orange is, isn't it? So they're brothers. 10,000.
Nice. Yeah.
And I did it, and I didn't like the marble too much. Then I decided to bang a few powders on there as a go-to because if all else fails, just smash some powders on the base.
Yeah, truth. That's great.
What else do you do?
Nice, mate. They're really cool. That's good start, strong start. What's the next slide, Matt? I don't know what all of these are in, so it'd be quite fun. Oh, now these I hope got a very good reception, mate. This is it tickles my balls. These loving the weathering on the drones particularly.
Thanks.
So do you know you like? I'm not just gonna like suck you off here, but like this there's a few of these. It's really nice to see you doing stuff that's you like when you see your friends develop a genuine like style, and if you looked at a model, you go, oh, Andy's painted that, or Rich has painted that, or whoever. Like it's really nice to see you pumping stuff out now in that style as well.
Thanks. So
these are wicked. Yeah, take us through.
I think I pretty much made peace with the fact that this is how I paint. I think for a long time I flicked back and forth between trying to replicate other painters and thinking, I want to paint like this person, like that person. Whereas now I think I'm a lot more confident and comfortable in this is how I paint and practicing that.
I think that's
definitely.
I think everyone takes something from that.
Yeah, because I think there's elements of other people's painting that you can steal. So, for instance, there's, I don't know, Rodrigo Ocora's color usage I love, and his impactfulness in his painting I love, and things like that.
That's inspiration, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas that's what I use it for now, as opposed to replicating. Whereas before, I think I tried to replicate. Whereas now I take inspiration from it. And then this kill team was released in the Chalnath box set, and after playing kill team for a while and playing a few games, there are kill teams that are fun to play in, just to kind of pick up, I'm going to have a game with these capacities. So for instance, for me, Space Marines fall into there, where I really enjoy painting the models, and playing with them is then an extra benefit of, oh cool, I get to see these cool models I've painted on the table. It's great. But in the actual game system itself of playing kill team, they can be a little bit boring in some regards. Like Space Marines are fun for pickup games, but I wanted something a bit more in depth. And any of the specific kill teams that have been released with boxes like Chalnath, they have their own specific rules that are different to the generic Tau rules. So you can take Tau Pathfinders that are generic Tau Pathfinders, but you can also take these ones that have, and everyone does something a little bit different. So if you take Space Marines, you've got 5 Space Marines, whatever, and each one of them does pretty much exactly the same thing. Whereas each one of the Tau does something different.
Yeah, so that when they're releasing these big chunky boxes, they are specifically designed for kill teams, aren't they? So it's much more like a team of operatives, as opposed to, as you say, you can play your Space Marine tactical squad if you want.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I really wanted a non-Astartes kill team. Everyone knows I'm obsessed with them. I love Space Marines, always have, always will. But I wanted something that was a bit different, and that was a non-Astartes. I love Tau, I always have, but I've never wanted to paint an army because I've seen armies, or I've tried doing paint schemes for Tau armies where the suits looked okay, but then I did the troops and I was like, well, I need 40 of these or whatever it was. I couldn't do it because, like, rushed, I thought they looked really bad. Just personally, for me, I just couldn't paint rushed ones. And these I decided to spend a bit more time over, and I had a scheme that I really liked. I wanted to paint something a bit sci-fi and a bit more earthy, rather than like a bright shiny red or bright shiny blue.
Sure. Yeah, and some people in the chat are enjoying James saying in the chat it's nice to see Tau done. I think all of us probably agree on the whole. We like seeing Tau done in olive drab or greys or
don't like anything else.
Beyond saying in the chat something. This is something I'd like to actually do on a future episode. Talk about a lot more But he's saying, for me, getting an army done is all about having quick wins, which goes against the whole "I want to get better" thing. So you've got a bit of a paradox. But I really want to have a discussion around, what is this getting better thing? Like, what does it mean, and all the rest of it, which hopefully we'll tease out of Rich a little bit as we're talking, so we can see sort of how he, even if it's inadvertently, feels he's got development out of the project that he's doing. So yeah, what about these Tau lads? What was on
that? Just on what you said, like I get the whole army done is about having quick wins. So you want to feel like you're achieving and to be realistic about getting an army done. Yeah, that's going to take a lot of time if you don't do it quite quickly. But I think the benefit of one of the things that I loved, or that just personally resonated with me with Kill Team, is I can choose. I can go, right, I've got 12, 13 hours over this weekend to paint. I'm going to get a Kill Team done this weekend.
Yeah.
Or I've only got 8 models to do. Let's try a technique I've not tried before, or let's spend a lot of time on a specific element of it. So even with these, when I did them, I was like, I'm going to spend time on the models. And then it came onto the bases, and I was about to just bang some washes on there. I thought, actually, no, let's do the bases. I never paint bases properly. I always would do something like powders and washes and things like that. Whereas this, I was like, actually, no, let's paint the bases. Like, I made that base from just a flat base and plastic card and the odd bit of like plastic kit that was floating around, because it was thought it'd be quite fun. And little things like that, I think it's a lot less daunting to spend a bit of time on. So that drone is the biggest bit of the Kill Team. So I saw it as like, right, that's the you do an army, you've got a super heavy that's the center of your Kill Team, or the center of your army, sorry, and that's like the focal point for that army. With this, I was like, okay, cool, my big drone's going to be the focal point, so I'll spend a bit more time on it. So I made it its own scratch built base and spent a bit more time on the paint job, that kind of thing.
Oh, that's awesome, mate. So that would be the takeover from these guys then. The idea of it was a nice way to push your basing.
Yeah, push my basing and just think of things that I wouldn't necessarily think of when I painted it. Like, I'd always paint the armor quite well, but sometimes rushing the fatigues or the skin, or I never paint faces ever. Like, everything's got a helmet because I don't like doing it. Whereas this on the tower, I gave I think there's only 2 or 3 of them that have actually got helmets. All the rest have got bare faces, just as a way to practice. Because I thought I love painting blue. It's probably the color I'm best at. So blue faces, it's a good bit of practice for me because I don't like painting faces, but I'm painting it in a color scheme I really like. So that's what I went for.
Rad. Yeah, and taking photos and models on blue backgrounds as well. Big fan of that.
Because being super lazy when it comes to taking photos. That's my palette top.
Always know it's one of your models usually. Yeah, if it's a blue.
Yeah, because it's also my background.
Sort your life out, mate.
It's not like I don't have space either. I've got to just get this set up, permanently set up.
It's become part of the charm now, mate. Those bases, though, they really do jump out. Very, very cool. Very cool. Right, what team's up next? These, I'm big fan of these. So this, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is one of those potentially previous failed projects that may find a new life, lease of life, right?
Yeah, loads of my Kill Teams started out as fantasizing, right, I'm going to paint 70 Necron warriors like this because I'm spraying it with a black rattle can, sponging it, putting some glowy bits and a bit of white.
And then has come out and it was all buzzy, wasn't it? And it was exciting. Yeah.
Everyone was throwing around ideas for Necron kill schemes that were quick, and this was mine. And
looks better than Silver.
I think so, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, if at some point that I super get to 40k and I fancy it, that's not necessarily something, if I wanted to I could, but
I wonder if it'd lose its impact a bit though across an army.
Nah, we chatted through it, didn't we? Because we were like, I was like, I want to do a matte black scheme, and you're like, yeah, I'd love it. I'd love to own this army. I'd love it to be like a we said, didn't we? We wanted a communal army. Yeah. Because I built them all and was like, we asked. But I if this army was done, I'd love to play it because I love this scheme.
Yeah, and in our gaming group, we all paint good guys basically. So we've all got like loyalist Space Marine chapters and stuff like that. And we decided, me and Andy were talking about once about it would be quite cool if we just had an evil army just somewhere that if someone didn't fancy painting an entire army, then they could still come along when we game on Fridays and whatnot and actually get involved a bit and still play. Or we could have it if one of us, we both wanted to play with our Space Marines and someone could just take an evil guy for once or something.
And they are great villains, aren't they? They're
great villains.
They really are.
They're amazing. And there's some amazing, really old artwork where it's just literally a matte. It's just a black Necron, really weirdly.
Oh, is it where he's like
glowing
quite lanky?
And he's going like that with his gun.
Yeah. It's great.
But yeah,
sorry, mate. Bjorn's asked the black. What is it?
Yeah,
black.
Colour forged rattle can. No airbrushing at all.
Colour forged rattle can. Oh, is that the matte black primer?
Yeah, matte black primer. That's it. That's all I sprayed it with.
There you go. Easy. Hi, Martin. Thanks for joining us. Toffee Tau. Yeah, they did look a bit like sort of Karamak Tau. Delicious.
Oh, Karamak, so good.
So with the Necron then, because as he has the, because I know obviously this, I don't believe you could take this guy in kill team as is, right?
No. So you in the Necron kill team list, you can make any of the operatives that you have. So like the Immortals, Death Marks, you can make them you can turn them into your leader. But there's no way, they don't differentiate. Their stats are different when the models aren't released for it.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I just thought, well, he's going to be an Immortal leader. He's got a big Immortal style gun.
Cool.
He looks a bit cooler, and it was an excuse to paint my favorite.
Oh, that's great! Yeah, what a brilliant excuse to paint.
Yeah.
Paint just your favorite models, right? So at least you feel like you've done something from that release.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's a great idea.
This kill team I painted in, I think it was a day and a bit. It was the kill team event that was coming up. I couldn't decide what I wanted to take, and for a minute I was like, actually, I fancy the Necrons. It'd be cool to paint something specifically for the tournament. So literally a day and a bit later, I had 10 Immortals and like 10 Warriors and him done. So I could take a couple of different kill teams, play with them. They were really fun, but they were a bit, ironic saying Necrons, they're a bit soulless for me. So it wasn't as much fun as I thought it would be playing with them. So that idea of taking them to tournament fell by the wayside, as a lot of my projects do, but I finished it. So it's a kill team that's sat there now. So if I fancy playing Necrons at any point, it's ready to go and I can just pick it up.
I think Necrons suit being en masse, and I think for kill team, the K-Suns are perfect because you can paint them nice and just do 5. But I think what appeals to me about Necrons and this colour scheme is like I'd want 100 warriors. It would be so cool, like just plague of zombies. I guess kill team, like you said, feels a bit soulless because they're that en masse army.
There was
for me.
Sorry, Rich, go on.
I was just saying, for me, that's spot on. Like there are very specific armies or factions that I think work really well as kill teams. That in both ways, I did the Necrons thinking they'd look really cool, and they do look cool and they're fun. But you're right, there was something missing from them. Like you said, I would love to see 60, 70 warriors with the big spindly spider things behind them just trudging across a board. It would be amazing. But then also on the flip side of that, there's certain things that I don't want to see in an army. Like, for instance, my Alpha Legion I love, but I wouldn't want to see an Alpha Legion army because in none of the books that I've read, you see an Alpha Legion army. Right. So I just think there's different kill teams or different factions that work as kill teams that don't work as armies and vice versa.
But there's all the signs point to kill team being successful and so far well supported, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's fair to assume that each army is going to get its kill team, right? So it's a specific one. And I think there's been a varying levels of how can I word this? Success, maybe that's not the right word, but for instance, we've got that recent box we know is coming, which on the one hand you have Eldar Corsairs, a wonderful rogue trader era faction that's getting sort of reimagined, brand new models, and then we're getting the Chaos Space Marine squad, which is just a Chaos Space Marine squad with a few extra bits sort of chucked in. And I think everybody probably hopes that they get the new unit, right? So like the Sisters got those novitiate models and things like that. There was a unit for Necrons years ago. I don't know what edition it would have been. That were they called pariahs, something like that. And they were from what I can remember, they were basically like Necrons that had retained a lot more of their personality and all the rest of it. They were a lot more
Royal Guard kind of
like Terminators. Yeah, a little bit like it, but the old scheme, like all the Necrons used to be metallic, and then these guys had like ceramic plates all over them and were in white and done like that. I can't quite remember, but I'm sure the chat will something. But I wonder if you'd see the reappearance of that sort of squad for Kill Team, right, where they can be a little bit more individual. Because for me, like, I think the Orc Commandos probably so far have been the perfect Kill Team, right? Because I mean, if you like narrative gaming, like there's still one of the most heartbreaking bits of backstory where they talk about the little Grot's mission to sabotage the oil refinery. Like it's brilliant.
Tell you what I do is do an old Hammer Kill Team. So like,
that'd be amazing.
I'd love to do Necrons with the metal Necrons, the massive scarabs.
Yeah.
Because I think there was only about 6 or 7 sculpts. You know, the one that's like
if that,
like I'd love to do.
And the mobility scooter. Whatever it was. Yeah.
I love the Immortal. It's so stupid looking. Like, but I think like I do have an old Hammer itch to scratch, and maybe Kill Team like Goblin Green Base Ultramarines would be how to do it.
That'd be nice.
I've been collecting those blisters, and I'll do a video about it at some point. But I've been collecting all those retro blisters with the good logo on it.
I've been wanting to do that Badab project for a while now, and like many things, it fell on its arse when I couldn't get the scheme right and all the rest of it. And I was even in a group, about 20 other people. Everyone was going to do it. We made it through month 1, and that was it. Disappeared into the ether.
That's a shame.
But my local gaming group, everyone's really keen to have a go at it. And we said, well, why don't we just do Badabbers Kill Team?
Kill Teams.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, it's you scratch the itch, you get it done, and you can enjoy it. But I don't want to hijack your chat.
No, but it's a perfect example of for me, Kill Team. I didn't even plan on getting into it really as much as I did. I was just kind of, I fancy doing this as a slightly step up from like boxed games, but not quite 40k or AOS.
You're right.
And it has ticked so many different boxes for me. So like it scratched the itch for Necrons. I've got some Necrons that I can play a game with. I don't have to commit the next 6 months to painting 70 of the same model, that kind of thing.
And I think probably not as many games with as well, right?
To have not as many games, exactly. And it's just, for me, it's the perfect level. Someone who is, like, don't get me wrong, I would love to be the sort of person who goes, like Dawn, I paint fists. I'm going to paint every fist model there is, and I'm going to love it, and I'm going to do it, and it's going to be great. But I'm not that person. But for me personally, it just fits all the different, because I have so many goddamn ideas that I've got and that I want to do. Like even the old Hammer, I've got some of the Destroyan metal Imperial Guard models, and even some of the old Valhallan ones as well that I've got. That I would love to do them and use the Krieg rules for them. That use them as veteran guardsmen.
That's what I want to do. Yeah, it's like I want to get like some real old models and
really old.
Yeah, I really, really want that metal marine box.
Supremacy
that
Force,
strike force, man.
Yeah.
And old metal Terminators get me going so much.
Maybe something we can look at summary. Maybe we can do a little.
Use old metal Terminators as heavy intercessors. Job done.
Mate, I've been spending so much on eBay on mint condition Terminators in blisters. Like it's been getting.
It would look so cool.
You saw that Chaos one, didn't you? And the leg of a Primaris is bigger than a Terminator. It's like
it's bigger than the whole model.
What about you, Matt? If you had to do an old or middle Hammer or whatever you want to call it, your nostalgic Kill Team, what would it be?
Probably Orcs, but like the old metal ones, or like the monopose,
like the old Bob Ollie.
Nice. And like the monopose Gretchen as well. You could use as the grot.
And you can still use the cardboard killer can, can't you? Legally.
That's a dreadnought, yeah. It's just, but you're right. It's more like a killer can nowadays, isn't it? Yeah, true line of sight. Nice, gamey bastard. Right. So what did we learn from Necrons?
This was Yeah, this is the itch scratching kill team. Right. Like, if you've got 48 hours and you've got a good idea, do it, because you'll probably get it done.
Nice.
And it's just a fun way to go, cool, I've done that scheme now, scratch that itch, move on.
I want to finish this Necron army.
Feel free, mate.
What's on next, Matt?
The Plague Marines.
So these were an interesting sort of they were never an army project, right? But they were just something you had done. You always felt like you were just on the edge of starting them as an army, but
it's just a rip.
Yeah, it was just me. This was prime butterfly time. This was. I love Plague Marines. I love the fluff around them, but the models themselves, the multi-part and the box set with all the easy build, just weren't quite right. There was just too much going on, too many tentacles, too many maggots, that kind of thing. I liked somewhere in between, like a 30k aesthetic and a 40k, where they're degraded and rotten and like rusty, but they still look like a marine. And I don't even know what
gurglings and bright.
Yeah. Big smiley face nuggets, and all the shoulder pads are mouths for some fucking reason, and I don't understand why.
So happy.
Yeah. So this was years ago. I started going, right, I want to make my own. So I kit bashed them all to stop them from being too gribbly. And I hadn't done a lot of kit bashing before that was as in depth as that. I changed lots of it and put lots of random kits together. And I'm not very good at sculpting. I'll be the first person to admit that if I had to do it where it was all really neat and I sculpted the detail, I wouldn't have done it. But there's gaps, and I milliputted it and banged a load of texture paint on it and painted it as rust and gross bits, all that kind of thing. And I started it, like I said, years ago. I did the green, thought it was cool, got distracted, put it away. Literally a year later, picked it up, started doing a bit more of the detail, because I wanted to paint something a bit detailed and didn't have anything to hand and didn't want to start something new. So I picked it up again, and literally 3 or 4 times I did that. And then I heard when the kill team was released, I was like, right, what have I got in the studio that I could use? And I was like, right, let's get them finished for when it was released. So that was the goal, and I did. And they're I'm really, really proud of them, actually, because it's as a squad, because it's just 7 or 8. I think I've got 8. As a squad of 8, it's probably one of the highest level painted squads of things I've ever done, and one of the things I'm happiest with. And it's a really fun kill team to play as well. Like they are. Of all the sort of generic kill teams, they've got the most in-depth, I think, rules and funny things that they can do, like disgustingly resilient, still a thing. So they fit the perfect aesthetic for me of like there's 4 or 5 of them walking at a whole wall of like Kriegsmen, like shooting at them, and the shots are just fucking doing nothing. And they're still wading through them all to get to them. So they're a really fun kill team to play. Like you'll have one on one side of the board with like the big plague spewer. I was playing my friend, and he had sisters, and he ran 2 of the Repentia with the big chainsaws. Ran 2 of them at me. Oh my God, I just turned and melted them both with one shot. And it was just so cool. It was the first kill team game I ever played, and that was just like, right, that's me. I'm in now.
Nice. Martin's saying in the chat old Inquisition stuff. I completely agree, mate. Like this, that I think I'm maybe still holding out that we'll get that game, but I think Kill Team's probably it, right? Do it in Kill Team.
I reckon there'll be an Inquisition Kill Team at some point.
Well, there's that model, isn't there? The birthday model or something. It's that Inquisitor model. But I would be all over that, like tramp on shit. So Johnny's saying this show is really inspiring him to want to play Kill Team. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of us feel like that. Yeah. Keep that energy going. Just do it. Do it this weekend. Do it and tag us. It'd be wicked. Yeah. I think your Death Guard are pretty special. Like, it's definitely worth going and checking Rich's account out to have a look at his Death Guard. It's when models match a style and all the rest of it, I think you got them bang on, man. So what was it learned from Death Guard then?
This was probably the biggest or oldest saving project. So it was something I kept for a long time. I knew I was never going to do an army of them, but I kept hold of them. I didn't throw them away or give them to somebody or repurpose them for something else, etc. I kept them. And
you just know, right? Sometimes, don't you? Like I've had a big clean out recently with life changes and all the rest of it. But there's this big box of Zinch stuff that I've 2 or 3 times now been like getting ready for eBay and all of that over the years. I'm like, nah, I am gonna do that one day. Like, and you genuinely know, like, it's not the 7th Space Marine Army that actually you're not going to do that. Oh, you get rid of it. Things like that. It's just
there were elements of this that I got rid of. So when I was in this mindset of I'm going to do these, I love these, I bought a bunch of shit from. So I bought a bunch of Nurgle stuff, but that's all gone now. But I kept this specific element of it. So the idea was realized, but in a different way than originally planned, and I've kept it, and it's really cool. Like the Valhallans, I've had those metal models for maybe 15 years, and I've just been carrying them around with me. I did never know what for. I'm never going to do an army of them. Jesus, you'd never get hold of enough of them. And I've literally been holding them ready for something, and like kill teams come around.
We need to do kill team. What was it called? Zaragrad. We need to get them out for that. Do a little. We'll talk about your scenery in a bit, but we'll do. That would be awesome. Rogue traders. That'd be great to see as kills. Yeah, I'm surprised we've not seen the Blackstone Fortress and Rogue Trader stuff as re-released. Bring back Inquisitor, Sherlock, Obi-Wan, Clouseau. There were some amazing names back in Rogue Trader. Dan saying he's just finished the Creed kill team following Andy's tutorial. That's awesome. Make sure you tag us.
Oh, nice.
I did, but
that's rad. Right. So what's up next, Matt? Perfect. So into the scenery. So this is something. So we just mentioned Zaragrab, which is, I think we featured that last year when we talked about our favourite white dwarfs or something like that.
Yeah.
But there was this brilliance. But Rich has always been well into your sort of scenery building, right? As in, but very elaborate, right? Not necessarily building a gaming board, but more somewhere between a diorama and a board, right?
Yeah.
So this is
scenery.
Literally perfect for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is that a board, right? Would you play a game on that as we're looking at it? Is that what Kill Team is?
It's the same. That's the board size that you would use, but that was all the scenery that I painted in a month.
Nice.
Because I'd had a test of the game, and a friend who had some scenery for it. And I was just like, I'm all in on this. But for me, it's something I spoke to Andy about a lot. When you're playing a game, the scenery is like the third army. A friend of mine always says that. Yeah, that's the third element on the board. And for me, I wanted it to be good. So for me, it's got to sell the narrative. It's got to, the vision on the board's got to match the thing in my head, or I'm not interested. And for me, the scenery is almost the most important part of that for me.
Yeah.
For a skirmish game, especially, that is a lot. That is so much reliant on the scenery because there's so much of it. So for the game to function properly, there's got to be a lot of it. So for me, it's got to all be matching. It's got to all be painted well, and it's got to all be like united. I can't stand it when you're playing the game and you've got scenery that's painted one way, and then another piece of scenery that's in a completely different color scheme. Like one will have snow on it, one will have moss on it, and all that. And I just can't do it.
Yeah.
And we on a Friday we've got a Wizards Club, which is a group of us all in Bath who come together, and we game every Friday. And it was Underworlds for a really long time. And I basically was just like, right, I want the lads to get involved with this, but I've got to kind of lead the way on it and sort of sell it to them that it's cool. So I was like, for me, the way to do that was to paint up the scenery that we can all use on a Friday, and it look really good, so that everybody actually was like, oh, that looks sick. I'd love to play a game on that. And that was my hook. And then I was like, well, if you've got 5 painted Space Marines, we can play this Friday.
Yeah.
And that's literally what we did. And it got quite a few of them in. So now every Friday we tend to play Kill Team alongside Underworlds and other bits. And it's got quite a few of the guys into it as a good sort of first step into gaming. Like a lot of them want to like play 40k and Heresy and AOS and stuff like that, but have not really done it before, or not for a really long time. So this was a really good first step. Like for me personally, bridging the gap from playing Underworlds to playing 40k, because a lot of them have things that started, so they've got starters of army, they've got squads of stuff. If you've got the squads, you can play.
Absolutely. And do you like, not to, we're not a gaming show by any stretch, but the more you chat about it, and this sort of jives a lot with what my local gaming group is, similar ages, similar situations, and actually going things like Kill Team, things like Warcry, which is sort of the fantasy equivalent, the AOS equivalent.
Yeah.
You sort of talk about them as being stepping stones to the bigger games, but I do wonder if we should actually just start seeing them as they're not. But as you said, there's something to go all in on, and it's just it's a different way of hobbying in that setting, right? Because ultimately that must be the reason, right, that we all stick to Warhammer settings, right? It's not the rules. It is the models in a lot of cases, but not always, right? I can think of plenty of other companies' minis I love and would love to do stuff with, but it's the settings, right? That they and particularly at the skirmish level, it becomes a lot more cinematic, right? And like it's very inspiring, sort of looking at all this, but I tell you what, it's because it looks achievable too. I think when you see an amazing army, you're like, oh, that's great, and then you think about even just building the fucking thing, right? Which I'm staring at in the corner of the room.
I need an army built for me if there's any builders out there.
So it's a nice little side hustle. Quite a few people have got going. Just Tomsters asked in the chat, we see some of us at World Model Expo this year. Yes, we will, and we'll chat about that quite soon. I think we'll let you know what we're going to be getting up to with that. But yeah, so this I hadn't seen these bits of scenery actually. What did happen to them? You were building like little tiles of scenery. Did they become kill team boards as well?
Nope, they have been destroyed.
Oh wow, right.
I didn't know that.
Is that so you could use them for like different setups for this, that type of thing?
Yeah, so I didn't expect to quite get into the gaming side of Kill Team as much as I did. I thought it would be an excuse to paint things that I could use, and I'd get the thrill out of painting them and using them for something, not necessarily caring too much about the gaming. But I've really got into the gaming side of it, and a big element of that is the way that the scenery changes every game. You can move the scenery around, and it's never set. And it was something that I learned. I mean, admittedly, the hard way, considering how much time and effort I'd already put into those boards. That if the scenery is set, it's going to dictate how the game plays very, very quickly, and you're only going to get a few games out of it before you realize the scenery hasn't worked, because I set it up purely from an aesthetic purpose of I think this would look cool. Didn't even think about it from a gaming perspective. And looking at it then, having played Kill Team, going, I want to use this for Kill Team, I looked at the scenery I've made and gone, that's completely unusable. The buildings and stuff I've kept, I ripped all them off so that I can paint them separately and use them for Kill Team. But the boards themselves, they're in the skip. They're gone. Yeah,
that's really good to know, though. I think because I'd have done the same as you, right? If I was getting in, and I'm very tempted with Necromunda Ash Wastes coming up. That's an all-in temptation. But I would have done the same thing, right? Built it to look right without any. But I'd probably have given it some consideration. But I'd have been looking at it from a real-world perspective, right? Which isn't always going to work, right? So that's a really good. Are those the newish 40k ruins in the background, or is that another company?
No, that's 40k. They came in the Chalnath box, so
massive.
They are huge. But they came in the Chalnath box, and then the stuff at the front is part Necromunda scenery made with like random other bits and pieces.
Bog roll tube.
So just it's a drain pipe. It was a drain pipe.
Nice.
And used that as the tubing bit. So yeah,
that's wicked. Oh, well jealous, mate. Let's get on this. So what would you say with the scenery then? What would you any big take homes? I suppose it was that like think about. I guess if you get to the point where you're building scenery, you're probably wanting to play the game, right?
Yeah, I think so. And having modular scenery is really good. Like I'm still going to do a board, as in like a sculpted base, and then I can move the scenery around on top of it. But I'm not going to glue any scenery to the actual base itself, so I can still chop it and change it and do that on the other. And scenery, it goes, quick wins and like gimmicks with scenery goes a long way to make them look a bit unique and a bit fun. Like the big runes were rattle cans, a sponge, and some moss and a wash. That was it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, really
absolutely.
Quick.
We'll definitely do a scenery thing, I think, later in the year. I've got quite a lot planned for YouTube and stuff with that. There's a temptation, isn't there, to paint it like your models, and it's just wrong on so many levels.
No.
Like
Jesus Christ, no.
Yeah.
Here's a question, Rich, just before we move on.
Yeah.
Do you think it would work? Because I've been wanting to build a Kill Team board, but I like the idea of gluing buildings down. But I hadn't done it yet. my plan was to make 6 11x11 tiles, glue terrain down to it, but have it so you can move all the tiles around. Would that work?
Yeah, that would work. I can't remember who did it. There's somebody that's done it with a Necromunda board, where the 4 tiles that they did to make their board, they've glued all the scenery down, but then they've got loads of walkways, and you can move all the tiles around and change the walkways so that it's all completely. Yeah, that would work. The only thing, the reason for me was I wanted to get gaming very soon, and I wanted it to be quite quick. So I did think of that originally, but it would look amazing when you did it. But like, it'd be a hell of an undertaking. But it would look sick if you could pull it off. Yeah, I just thought maybe in the future I'll do one like that. Like, I'm not adverse to doing another board or two.
Matt's got the right brain for that shit, though, hasn't he?
Yeah,
you know how to do all the facing.
Spreadsheet
the spreadsheet would be ridiculous.
It's coming off because I don't like. It's so hard to store gaming boards that are like permanent. Yeah. So I've got a design for basically a 24-inch tower that's 11x11 that will have sliding rails on that you can just slide the tiles into.
Where you put your dinner trays on.
Yeah, literally like that. And then it's just a less than a 1x1, 1 foot by 1 foot box that you can just put in the corner.
Yeah. Nice. Clever. I've been thinking of ways of storing it. That's
my solution. I haven't got any more space in it, but I've got a wall in front of me, so hang them on there. Yeah, get soundproofing as well. Mega, have we got any more kill team slides, Matt, or is that scenery? Was that it?
We're on to the scenery now.
Brilliant.
There's
look at that. Some colours there, mate.
I rattle canned it red, rattle canned the top blue, sponged it red, and then that's one wash, and that's it.
That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic. Well, I think that's sort of a natural end to that. Now we're gonna come back to your kill team thing, even if ever so slightly briefly. You've got an event coming up this month.
Mid-March at Warhammer World.
Yeah, so make sure you get some snaps from that, and we'll do a quick recap of that at the start of one of the shows around the time. When we've done that.
Anyone sees me there, please do come over and say hi and introduce yourselves. Be good.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. So let's move on then to the third segment of the show, the hashtag paint guys. I love that, Rich, by the way. I thought it was fantastic. I think the chat did as well. We're keen, guys, to throughout the year maybe have one episode with each of us over the year where we sort of look a bit more about something that we've ended up getting really into. So rather than them all necessarily having to be conversations around ideas and all the rest of it, sometimes it's just fun to see other people get proper nerdy, right? Because I'm absolutely jonesing. There is zero chance I'm doing anything kill team for months, right? Like I have the next 2 months at least.
We're fully booked, mate.
Yeah, fully booked. But I'll rewatch this back in 2 months, and then I've
got it all. If you pop down and you want a game, mate, you can use one of my
pop in anywhere, bud. But I will. I really appreciate the offer. We'll definitely get something done. So. Last section, hashtag paint guys. So we made up a hashtag when we started the show, which we just thought maybe a few people might use when they follow it. You got thousands and thousands and thousands. I think it's far off 10,000 now. If you want to open up your Instagram feed to some slightly different models, some slightly different companies, some different styles, bang that hashtag in, give it a follow, and you'll find a ton of new accounts that you wouldn't have come across before, especially with the algorithm being as fucky as it is at the moment. Really great way to look outside of your box, as it were. And all I do is every couple of weeks I grab a few that caught my eye and sling them up, and we have a little natter about them. And I can never remember what I've sent Matt, so it's always a bit of a surprise to me as well when it comes up. So let's have a look. What's we got on the first slide? Oh yeah. So I think there might be some busts and large scale stuff in this one. What a cool bust! It's not my cup of tea at all, right? I'm never going to paint this, but it's wicked to see. I just not seen anything really like this subject matter, like the paints. Like it's just cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's the Andy? Do you know what it is, Andy or Matt?
It looks like Pedro Fernandez. Like you can recognize his faces instantaneously. I'd be surprised if it wasn't him.
Let's have a look.
I've made a note already. I need to be a bit better at jotting down things about why I've chosen them, because it's lazy of me to just say, "Oh, go and look at their account." But then I guess it does make people go and look at their account.
True. I love the non. You know, we said before, sometimes it's nice to have the non-war, non-violence, and also like from a representation side of things, nice to see a bit of difference in there as well.
Absolutely. And I think it's tricky, right? When it's, a lot of us come into the hobby through Games Workshop stuff, which is naturally, it's Warhammer, right? It's not Cuddlehammer or whatever, is it? So it's you're going to come at it from that angle. And I think when you see stuff that isn't warfare focused, and we did this when we created the sci-fi range, we want it to be about exploration, not warfare and all that it's actually quite challenging to come up with a perceived interesting subject, right? It's why sometimes I tease Andy about his little deer and things like that, because I'm like, well, why would you want to do it? But then actually you see someone like Josh or Lai, make these incredible, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. That's why you do sculpts like that. But I think it's just a really interesting sculpt.
It is Pedro, which I think is quite interesting in itself. That I'd never seen this many before, and I was like, Pedro Fernandez.
Right.
So he's got, you just know his face sculpts like that. Got such a style. So
fair play for knowing that. I would never have pulled that out, like knowing somebody specifically from a sculpt.
And the account is in the chat, so well done. It's awesome. Yeah. Thanks. It's lovely to see you in the chat. It's always nice when that happens.
It's so nice to just see something that's, like you were saying, just a normal everyday scene. Like this is like something I would see on the train every day.
Right.
Just a person.
That's a nice thing about large scale, though, as well, isn't it? That I mean, I'm opening up a can of worms here, but we only choose like 28's only a scale because you need loads of them for a game. Right?
Yeah. And people are shirking that now, right? You're getting a game I've mentioned a few times, that Parabellum War Games, name's gone now. Last Argument of Kings. It's a Warhammer Kings of War, Game of Thrones style war game, right? It's square blocks of infantry and knights and things, but they are probably closer to like a 40 mil almost for a.
I want to play a 45,
and it's really cool. Like it works, man. It's
that would be super cool. I mean, maybe not doing like loads and loads of them, but
no. But so, for instance, a unit is I think it's like 12 maybe, right? So it still looks like it's still cool. It still looks like maybe even a few more actually, like but it still looks like a proper unit. But they are, it's like one of the a normal human would be like Primaris sized. Yeah.
That would be cool.
So yeah, we'll jot that one down. We'll have to see what we can do. But yeah, just wicked, just lovely, and great account, well worth a follow. I love the painting on the sleeves.
Yeah,
I just think the scarf at the top is so good. The light, and the bottom half of the shirt, like where it's just in that shadow, super natural. Very, very, very.
Yes, that's a good way of describing it, isn't it? It looks very natural.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So yeah, it's a nice one. What's that next, Matt?
Oh wow!
Oh, so again, this model is very different. I don't know if you used any of the other picks, Matt, for slides.
No, I haven't.
That's right, but it's worth going and have a look at because it's very different as you turn it around. It's actually quite long. If we're looking at it front to back here, if you were to turn it 45 degrees, like it's actually quite a long model. And again, just like nothing I'd really seen before.
That's a big deal for me. I think it's like seeing what you haven't seen before. Like that's exciting. Like that last one, really, that was great.
But it is exciting, right? And you can always, I think, sometimes you take stuff from it and you go, I'll put it on my model. Sometimes it's just nice to look at nice painted minis that aren't a Space Marine. Occasionally, Rich, not all the time.
Hey, I'm here for it.
I think as well, you can also look at loads of stuff, even if you don't fancy that yourself.
Yeah. I
still fun.
I will forever be a tourist in this sort of thing, in that busts, things like this, I will never pick up and paint ever. but
love
to appreciate
it, right?
Yeah,
it's like the painted shadow and stuff. Like there's a lot more. Like I've been painting some of these models for the Deep Rock Galactic Kickstarter, and they are 40-ish millimeter, and it's just totally different. Like I know, Andy, you do it all the time, right? But it genuinely has surprised me, like how different it is painting these larger models, but even to the level of like I'll use exactly the same colors and I'll use them in exactly the same way, and it looks completely different because the area is X% bigger, right? And it's a lot of fun. Like I get it. I'm starting to get it now. Starting to get the appeal, says the man whose company's got 2 ranges of large scale miniatures. But yeah, what's the deal with the back of her hand?
It's glowing from the light, right? Because you get that your fingers glow when you hold, like when you put a torch.
Oh yeah, moonlight on on the water and stuff. Yeah.
You know, when you get the orange from your fingers if you hold a torch, and
your fingers. Yeah.
That's what I interpret it.
Oh, I see what you mean. So the whole arm should be like her torso is, right? And like the arm is dark. And the only reason the fingers are light is because the butterfly is giving off.
That's cool. Intense area of light, isn't it?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's cool too. Lovely job. Start next, Matt. This is rad. I think we featured this count before, actually. And this might even be, is this a Parabellum model? It might be a Parabellum model. But yeah, just again, I think it was their first model of the year or something like that, or I can't remember why I picked this one. There was a good comment to go with it. It was either like, I slogged away at it to get it done, or like didn't give up on it, or it's first model of the year, something like that.
Really nice gold on the top there, lovely tone.
Yeah, very much, and a fun base too, right? The bigger models mean you can have bigger bases, right? Which means you can stick more tufts on them. And I'm becoming a big fan of the tufts, and that looks to me suspiciously like a butterfly in the background.
Win.
So you stick a critter on it, it's getting featured.
That's bribery, that is.
But yeah, I'll go and check the account. It's really, really well worth a follow. This account, some really fun models on it. Lots of like cool D&D stuff. I've found a bunch of stuff I've enjoyed. I follow them on Twitter as well. Really, really fun. So, Rock and Stone
now as well.
I know, right? Oh, so this is an old paint job project, whatever you want to call it. But this account had posted it again because they took some new photos or something. So this is new to me, but it's not new as a thing. And I guess as a concept, it's not new. I've seen a few brilliantly done, whatever you would call it, diorama, vignette, whatever you call it. This, but I think this one's been done particularly well, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's GD winner, that one.
Is it?
Yeah.
There we go.
Day? What year, Matt?
Come on, Rain Man.
2008.
There we go.
How the fuck do you remember that?
He did spend like 2 years, Rich, compiling a book.
Yeah, but how many entries did we see in those 2 years?
I made a point to remember where it was from before I got called out on it.
Oh, that's fair. I've been looking at
that's acceptable.
I've been looking at Matt's rankings and like, how many do I need to go up the rankings?
Oh God, don't show Andy that. That's it.
I've got them, mate. I've got the rankings.
It's out for the world to see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try harder, Andy. You're obviously not winning enough Golden Demons. Come on, mate.
Well, they've been out for 2 years. I'm at it. Let's go.
Oh, we've got Lee in the chat from Dungeons and Dragons, so nice one, dude. That's wicked. Bjorn's also mentioning that whole, I think it's called, is it scale reduction factor? Is that what it's called? Where the paint changes colour on the scale of the model? And then like historical people, it's a real thing. I think that's interesting. So maybe that'll be a discussion in the future. Probably not, but I think that's really interesting.
These sorts of like vignettes where they use real elements like a book are quite popular in historical. So a lot of the like Second World War stuff, I've seen quite a few where it'll be like an ammo case that they'll paint a scene in, or like a helmet, a real World War II helmet that they'll then like create a diorama in. It's sick.
That is great, man.
There's this amazing historical one. I'll have to find it. it's two-sided. I think we maybe talked about it before, where it has it's like a picture of a tank in a museum, and the grandfather's looking at a picture of the actual what the photo was taken in World War II is like in the diorama with the kids, like, and then on the other side it's the diorama of the photo.
Diorama happening, yeah.
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Oh well, there's a whole episode. But yeah, I didn't know it's a GD winner. That's grand. And obviously excited about
Luca,
Lord of the Rings stuff.
Just recently started posting his stuff.
Right, so that'll be it then. So definitely go and give that account a follow. It's one of them ones I want to tick off. Like, I want to do this, right? I want to do Bilbo in front of his hobbit hole as a little diorama, and whether it's done in a picture frame or a book or whatever, or a pocket watch thing, something like that. It's on the like hobby bucket list.
The best Bilbo one is done by Martin Footit. Bilbo outside his hobbit hole.
Yeah.
Well, if even Andy likes it, then it must be amazing.
I don't like it because it's the Hobbit, but it's very, very good. But I'm like, Lord of the Rings, get out of the way. Right.
Where's my Transformers?
Yeah.
Okay. Have we got any more? I think there's a couple more. I didn't pick many this week. Oh, it's not. We can't really have a show without Rich talking about Space Marines or us showing a Lucas Pina model.
Have you noticed my collection, Henry?
It's nice, mate. It's better than mine. I think I got 3.
I've got loads more. It's terrible.
0.
Got 1.
But here's if you aren't aware of, I mean, this account's great as well, but if you aren't aware of the model, it's Lucas Pina. If you're interested in bigger models, check this guy out. It's quite exciting to be around when this guy's sort of very hot, at the top peak of his powers, maybe even just not there yet. But yeah,
great Instagram handle.
Shiny model syndrome. Yeah,
that could be one of yours, mate.
It could literally be one of
mine. But yeah, again, it's not just because it's got an owl in.
I know. I kind of.
I assume this is Merlin, is it? And a young Arthur, right?
Not Gandalf.
That's just the worst person.
It's
Gandalf and Harry Potter in it. That's Harry Potter and that's Gandalf.
Do you know how I feel right now? How that owl looks, right? When you say things like that hurt me. Yeah,
that's like you when you put a gun down and go, "Oh, is that a transmorpher?"
What's it say on his book? Hiatus
or
of
a wizard, Harry.
Yeah, Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Right, before we alienate literally everyone that watches. Tom's ordered that bust. That's cool, man. Good on you. Tom's getting ready. He's tempted to head in. Baz on last episode's part of the team now. I would really like to, just as I said at the top of the show, I'd like to start showing off artwork a bit more. And I will often post it here if it's ever tagged. I'd like to start showing sculpting too. Like Mike said, he wants to show sculpting off and stuff. And absolutely, I don't tend to pick whips. But Baz has sculpted this for someone. He's got no intentions of painting it, right? So why shouldn't we show his work?
That is his finished work.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's. I think I thought it was rad when I first saw it, and then I noticed that Albert Font had made the comment saying how amazing it was, and not that it should, but that made me like it even more.
See him paint it.
So yeah, right. But yeah, I think this is a great version of like restraint on a model too.
This model's growing on me a lot, actually. The Emperor's Champion.
Mm-hmm. It's you glance at it and you go, oh, it's not much different to the original, right? But actually, it's just little tweaks, right? It's little tweak, and I think those of us that loved the original perhaps wished it looked like this. But I think if you were coming at it fresh, the new model's awesome, right? Because it's still a rad model. You haven't got any of that nostalgia baggage that comes along with it. But yeah,
it is baggage.
Is that the?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the sword that comes with the original?
The hilt.
No,
it is the same. He's just turned it.
Yeah, it's the new one that's just turned.
Yeah,
it's bloody massive, isn't it? I didn't realise it was that big.
Some of the swords now, mate, are bananas.
That's what she's.
Yeah, they are. They're got a kit through today, and it's ridiculous. But just don't stress about it.
Big swords, mate.
I've been paying the smallest kits ever. I need a big one.
It's why though, isn't it? It's when you see someone put a correct, as it were, sized weapon on a Warhammer model, it looks so different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm quite into it. Totally changes it. Yeah, I dig both of them. I get, it's fun having the caricature sized and weapons, but as soon as you stick it's when they put little warhammers or little axes on them, and it just it just totally changes, doesn't it? But yeah, Baz, amazing account, well worth a follow if you're into sculpting. Announcing his class this week, I think he's got his next sculpting class coming up in April. So is that it?
No more.
Oh, I forgot I'd added this one in. This I don't think was #paint cultist actually, so apologies. Maybe it was. I don't think it was. This was my second pick of the week.
This is snuck it in at the end.
This is an account I follow on
That's
Twitter.
Cheating.
Has amazing Beast of Chaos stuff, amazing, but also this really cool Necromunda one. And I was gonna leave it out because I was like, we should do a Necromunda show at some point, just like we've done Celtic. But again, this is just right up my street.
I love it.
But yeah, when Necromunda Ash Waste comes out, expect quite a lot of that to come. But yes, basically he's got this rad Beastman in there as well.
Brave paint scheme that, and I really like it.
It's just a very, very cool hobbyist, and fairly prolific as well. Like a good account to follow. There's always something each week to enjoy.
Great photograph with the scenery in the background with the poster and stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
You could do that instead of your blue palette, mate.
You never know. I might do. Use some of that scenery for something.
I'll bring my camera up.
Okay.
So that, I think, is it.
That is.
There we go. So if you do want to get in touch with us, I say use the hashtag for your painted stuff, but also we're on all the usual social medias and all the rest of it, so we're not hard to get in touch with. If we don't reply for a couple of days, don't worry. We're just being slow. We haven't read it. Give us a chance. We're not ignoring you, I promise. And if we haven't done after a week, nudge me. Because I do, I don't ever hate to feel like you're being ignored. Right, Rich, thanks ever so much for your letting us grill you on it all. I am genuinely chuffed for you, mate. I think it's awesome to see you getting the painting and stuff done. Andy, Matt, pleasure as always. Thank you for joining us. Not sure what the next topic is, but keep an eye on the thing. Chat, thanks for being there. It's lovely to see all the comments. Slightly more chilled out chat this week, which is quite
no fighting.
Not too many debates.
Creative discussions.
Maybe I'm not as
controversial enough, pal.
I'm not controversial. Damn it! I should have said something really
don't. You're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about
it. Leave it there.
It's absolutely fine. But thanks for joining us as usual, chat. And if you're watching this back, not live, thanks for watching as well. Share the love, let people know. We're loving having more and more listeners each time. And we've got big plans this year for some really great shows coming up. I think we'll get one more in before you guys are off to Adepticon, hopefully. And then once we're back, if you haven't passed out, even if it's just me going around the house with the phone and just sort of bugging them.
I do it live. I think it's the day before I fly is when we normally do it.
There we go. It'll be fine.
I could be like, I finished, lads. Let's go. Or I might be like,
just be in the background, mate, and I'll just bring the camera around.
You'll be painting.
Yeah.
But thanks everybody. Great to see you all. Great to see you chat. Thanks for watching it back. Take care. We'll see you next time.